Hey, what's up, everybody? Coming to you for the verse of the day today. All right. Today we're in 1 Corinthians, very end of chapter 12 and beginning of chapter 13. It's been interesting reading through 1 Corinthians while we're studying 2 Corinthians in church. It's kind of cool. But there's some pretty awesome verses in here. I wanted to share with you one that I was going through today and just was speaking to me. So here it is. I'm going to read it from my Bible. Okay. 1 Corinthians 12, verse 31b, which is the second half of verse 31, not the whole verse. And now I will show you the most excellent way. Chapter 13. If I speak in the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. Okay, we're just going to stop right there. Short little verse. Paul's basically saying here, I'm going to show you the most excellent way. This is the deal. This is the way to live. The most excellent way, okay? The best way. And he says it's a whole chapter. If you go and read chapter 13 of 1 Corinthians, it's a whole chapter about love. What love is, what love looks like, what love does, what love is as you receive and as you give love. It's pretty important. It's a pretty awesome chapter. I highly recommend you read the whole thing. Memorize it, okay? It's awesome. But to start off, he says, if I speak in the tongues of men and angels but have not love, I'm only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. Now, essentially, I don't know if you know much about, cymbals, but as a music person, I know a little bit about them. And here's the deal with the cymbal. Think about, like there's several cymbals on a drum set. The drummer sits here and they're playing, hi-hat. That's actually a couple cymbals that you can, use your foot pedal to, and your sticks. You hit it, you control it, how close they are. So you get that. You can hold it down tight with your pedal, and or you can let it be more splashy or whatever. Then you got your couple crash cymbals, usually in a ride cymbal, and sometimes there's other kinds of cymbals you can do if you're doing jazz. Or there's splashes, there's different kinds of cymbals. Anyways, all kinds of cymbals. But here's what cymbals do. Cymbals are a lot of frequency. You hit a cymbal, or if you play cymbals like in a marching band or whatever, if you are hitting a cymbal, those cymbals crash. Okay, when they make noise, they are emitting a lot of high frequencies at one time. So, it gives that big, splashy, huge sound. It's really great. I love cymbals, but it's not a musical pitch, right? So if you play a note on the piano or you play a guitar chord, you hear music. When you hit a cymbal, essentially all these sound waves come at you at once, so much so that your ear cannot identify music. It only hears essentially noise. Okay? That's why there's not like pitched cymbals usually, because it's just noise. Okay? Now sometimes noise is great if you're playing on a drum set or you're in a marching band, right? Okay? Or for a big whoosh in a big orchestral piece, at some big climactic point. It's awesome. But what Paul is saying here is that you can, if I speak in the tongues of men and angels, if I'm saying the most important thing, but I don't have love, it's just noise. Okay? It's just noise. In fact, it's so much noise that the people listening will not be able to discern what you're saying. They're just going to hear noise. They're not going to hear you. They're not going to hear the message because it's not said with love. Okay? So if your love has to be the underlying element here in what you're saying. So if you're, for instance, if you're trying to say something to a group, like during youth group, or you're sharing, during a small group time, or if you're at school and you're doing group work, or whatever the platform is, or you're on you know, you're in the worship team, or you're trying, basically, if you're trying to say something, or even if you're just having a conversation with a friend, if you're trying to say something and it's not said with love, okay, it's just going to come across as noise to the listener. It's just going to be a big, you know, a symbol. Love has to be there. Love has to be the underlying element in everything that we say or do, or else it's just going to be heard as noise. There's actually some more scripture here that it keeps going on with other examples, other metaphors here. He says, but it's the same idea of, you know, I can be doing all these things, and if I don't do it with love, it doesn't matter. So here's verse 2, which is not even a part of our verse of the day. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. Well, that's kind of a big deal. He can move mountains with his faith, but he has no love. Doesn't matter. Okay, if I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames, if I make great sacrifices, okay, but have not love, I gain nothing. So here's the idea. Love is the most important thing, right? It's what Jesus commanded us to do. Love God, love each other. It's simple as that. So in everything we say and do, it has to be done with love, coming from a heart that is loving. So if you're doing that group work and you want to say something, say it with love. Okay, if you're doing that youth group activity or whatever, and you're trying to have a conversation with a friend, or you're trying to share in small group time, do it with love. Love says, and that's what the rest of chapter 13 is all about. It's like, what is love then? Okay, if, you know, Paul sets this up, and then he says, boom, and here's how love is. So I encourage you to go read that. It's really great. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. But the idea is basically this. Love is super important. And it's got to be there when you're in your family, in your friendships, in your conversations, and everything you say or do, okay? Do it with love, which means that myself is not important and you are important. I mean, love is kind, love is patient. There's so much to what love is here. So go read that. But today understand that, man, love is huge. Okay? Especially if you got brothers and sisters and you're getting frustrated with them, or your parents are driving you crazy, or whatever else it is, because all this stuff happens, right? Especially in quarantine. Let God show you what love is and how you can be loving to all the people around you. Let God change your heart into a loving heart, so everything you say and do doesn't just come across as noise. All right, have a good day. Bye.